Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it to episode 6 of the 20 years and counting Big Sky Basketball Podcast. Jack Marshall, Max Dupras, two journalists in the great state of Montana. Getting a little more traction on Twitter this week, some new followers and comments I'd love to see. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, let's jump right into our weekly recap. Starting off, we had some Monday games. That feels like almost a week ago, but we did. But a guy we talked about last week plenty, Prophet Johnson. He was the National Player of the Week for something, and then he became the Conference Player of the Week. They count Monday games. He didn't need the Monday game, but guess what? He drops 35. Sac State scores 104. And really, Weber made it fun for a second, but Sac handles Weber. They don't lose in Sacramento unless it's a Saturday. We're going to get to that. And then Portland State, speak of that team, they handle Idaho State. They win by 23. That game was not very interesting. Jalen Henderson with a 30-piece. And then a Thursday, Eastern Washington comes into Missoula. I also went to the game. I was there too. They beat the Grizz. Grizz fall flat in the second half. Ugly offensive game. JoJo Anderson, 12 points off the bench. Remember that name. Northern Colorado heating back up a 14-point road win over Weber. Trending downwards, the Wildcats. Quinn Danker, 31-piece. He's back. Northern Arizona. Max called it from out of nowhere. They did not have a lot of conference wins. They have a 6-point road win over Idaho State, trending downwards. Behind 21, Ryan Abelman. We've said his name before. He's a career Lumberjack guy. And finally, Montana State downs Idaho. Jed Miller, 8 for 10 on free throws, 15-point night. And then on Saturday, the Grizz bounce back win over Idaho by 5. They go lights out in the second half. I think 5 guys in double figs for the Grizz, including 4 starters. Idaho trending downwards. Northern Colorado, did I say they're back? They beat Idaho State for a 2-0 weekend. 17, Brock Wisney, their big man who came back to help them. And then JoJo Anderson, I hope you remembered that name. A go-ahead layup as EWU goes 2-0 on the weekend. They get a sweep over the Grizz. They split the series against Montana State. And then Weber, bounce back win over NAU. Of course, you know, Tijon Sane's going to be leading the scores, 20 points. In Portland State, a fun night game. They hand Sac State their first home loss of the year. Terri Miller Jr., 22 points, not great efficiency. Profit, 28 points. Mikey Williams, 26. You know, Mikey still shot 4 for 15. Look up, take a guess how he got those other points. But game came down to literally the last possession, and Portland State got a block. I think I read that Profit was a little banged up in the last couple minutes. He still goes 28. So you're counting at home. Portland State now 10-1 in conference. They're the one easily. MSU and UM both at 8-4, and guess what? They're playing on Saturday. And the fourth best team is Weber State at 6-6. Anyone's ball game, that 4 seed right now, it feels like. Ken Palm, the Vikings, they go up 14 spots, 136 in Ken Palm. That's kind of a fun spot to be. Cats go up 2, 154. Montana drops 8. Guess what? They both lost to the same team, Ken Palm. I don't know what you're doing at home, but Grizz are at 160. NAU was the worst team. Guess what? They went up 2. They got a win. They're at 312. Portland State is 120 net team as well. They went up 15 in the net. Northern Colorado was the third place net team. So, Max, a fun weekend of basketball as always. We'll get to the picks, but your Thursday picks, you went 3-1. I went 2-2. Both got the
One, yeah.
game wrong. You predicted NAU, but what are some takeaways you had from really a fun week of basketball in the conference?
Yeah, I think I'll just start with the Sac State stuff. Like, that really is a team, just plain and simple. You have to outscore everybody you play at this point. But it's kind of worked at points. Like, we were really
Mm-hmm.
low on them to start the year, but I also feel like I don't even know if like that's like a horrible thing. Like that they're kind of like the most fun team right now for me in terms of like just watching them straight up. Like it's enjoyable to watch them play. They always score a lot. The defense might not be great, but that makes for more fun games. Teams are able to kind of stay in it. Um, so I like what I see with Sac State in terms of the offense. Obviously, the defense. We talked about it. Their defense is just like so atrocious. Like and it sucks because you'd hope maybe some of those things would start to figure themselves out a little bit, but they really have not. Um, they they play. I don't know. They play a fun one against Portland State. They've obviously have like a really, I mean, you mentioned it like their first home loss, and it was a close one. So like you have to give them a lot of credit for a team that at one point we thought was going to be, you know, at the bottom of the garbage can for for the Big Sky. They've actually made it fun. They made it interesting. And when Weber State is 6-6 and they're fourth, Sacramento State's destiny is so ahead of them. Like they totally could be in the driver's seat of that fourth spot. That's exactly where you want to be. It's kind of tough to really tell how much that seeding's really going to help them early on with how much parity there is after the very clearly the three best teams, Portland State, Montana, and Montana State. It's really tough to kind of tell how well that seeding's going to benefit in the tournament. And I think as it gets a little bit closer, we'll probably go into stuff like that, like what we think that tournament those tournament matchups are going to look like. But yeah, it's actually just gonna they're just offensively are so much fun to watch. Defensively, I don't think they're definitely not there yet, and I don't think they're really going to get there like anytime soon. But they make it fun. They made it fun against Portland State, and I still love watching Prophet Johnson play. So hope he's healthy. Obviously, there was the scare at the end of the game, but hope he's still able to kind of come back from that. But tough to beat that team, and I feel like really it's just Sac State. Sac State's been making it fun for me to watch their games just by how many points they've put up. So I think that's the most horrible thing in the world. They just have to keep doing it. I mean, at least 80 points a night. I will watch a Sac State game knowing that feels like the threshold most nights. So yeah,
Yeah, you're right. They're a fun team to watch, and we talked about the whole attendance part last week. But their game for Portland State looked like it was real fun. Everyone was on their feet at the end of the game. Good crowd. And
yeah,
you talk about coming to the season, the conference season. Um, we're like, wow, we were so low on Sac State. And now they'd only won one Division 1 game, right? It's hard to be
yeah,
high. But they played the
yeah,
25th hardest strength schedule net rating on Ken Palm.
yeah.
So, right, like that's hard to have a really good looking record after that. But fun to watch. They're 20th in tempo in the Ken Palm rating. So
Oh
that makes a lot of sense why they're fun to watch. Prophet Johnson's been a great story. So actually, it's
yeah.
been great. I
The
see their president is back to sort of maybe not rage baiting people on Twitter, but I've seen a couple tweets from him recently. They're fun.
the
That game against Portland was fun, and their
mhm.
big, really Achilles heel, obviously the non-con was bad, but their ability to play on the road cannot be overstated
Yes.
enough. The only team in conference has not won a road game in conference. And then, of course, the only team in conference that has now not even won a road game, because you won a road game and now 1-10.
Yep.
0 for 12 on the road feels hard to do. With the way they're playing, I think they should be able to pick up a road win this week when they go and play at NAU. But, they've just been really bad on the road. But I think they had a really big road stretch to start the season, Sac State did. And that's part of the reason they have that bad mark. But yeah, Sac State,
Yeah. I
we always have to talk about, I feel like. Uh, more and more.
y-
Every week they
yeah.
give us some stuff to talk about. And they played Portland State harder than anyone's played Portland State, except for,
Mm.
um, I guess Weber took an overtime early in the year. Obviously, UM beat them. Other than that, they beat the Cats pretty well. So I thought Sac State played a damn good game against a Portland State team that really handed it to them when they played in Portland. So
Yeah, no, I agree. And you mentioned I really quickly bring up that road stretch. They played and something that I didn't even think about from November 29th until January 10th, they played only road games.
in conference,
No, that's out of
oh
conference.
yeah,
But
talk
like
about a tough
they
schedule.
they started that stretch at Pacific, at Baylor,
Oh,
at Cal Baptist, at CSUN, and then they start conference play going on the road to Pokey, on the road to Ogden, and then in Portland. They're just like it's that is like so brutal. Even though like you can argue whatever quality of opponent, when you were on the road from you were on the road for a month and a half, like you're going to suffer some, and that's after they play San Francisco State at home. Prior to that, they played two road games. They basically they didn't they played one home game in like 11 of their like yeah, that's like 10 out of 11 home games or road games that they played stretching back to like the middle of November.
Yeah, and
So
obviously they're losing a lot of those, pretty much all those games too, which doesn't help the morale. So
exactly.
yeah.
You play three Power Four schools in that stretch all on the road. It's going to make those like Cal Baptist games and those Pacific games just like significantly harder to win at that point. So, yeah.
Okay, my first point is about to be brought up, and I'll just start with a caveat of Eastern Washington men's basketball team. Their assistant coach, Ryan Lundgren, their head assistant coach, I guess their associate
Mm,
coach,
mm,
used to coach at Carroll College when I lived in Helena. NAIA school was their head coach, and we
mm,
did a show bi-weekly there. So we have a personal relationship. He's a great guy. And Andrew Cook, who's
mm,
out this year, is another really great guy who's on their team. So I'll just say, like, I have a soft spot for Eastern, similar how we both graduated from UM. We're always going to think about them. With that being said, I love to root for teams that are underdogs, right? Because we joke about, Shields Valley classy basketball. We were some underdogs. There wasn't a lot of games if they had sports bet Montana, wasn't a lot of games we would have been favored in all 4 years of high school ball. So I love rooting for underdogs, and I think this year Eastern came in with a really bad non-conference mark. Young team, they didn't have Andrew Cook, like we said, um, and they had every reason to roll over and look into next conference season. And Eastern Washington has not done that. And a guy I talked about, I like to also throw on the phrase, a guy who reminds me of myself when I played basketball. But like, if I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna pick a guy in the conference who actually reminds me of myself, a 5'8" guard, maybe off the bench, maybe on the bench, depending on the game, but a guy who plays with energy and pace and drives to the hole is JoJo Anderson, man. I love to watch that guy play. I got to watch him live in Missoula here, and he comes off the bench for him, scores 12 points, 5 for 8, hits some huge threes, and he just has this like shiftiness that's so hard to stop. And that game against the Cats, he was 1 for 4 shooting. Um, he had 4 points. He made some free throws, and they drew up the last play for him because he's fast. He gets the bucket. He's a team leader. And so that is just kind of like a guy like him. He's been great for Eastern. Obviously, Kyrie Huey's their big guy. He's kind of got a funny story transferring to Miami last year and then back to the big guy. Johnny Radford, I believe, is their guy who went from the College of Idaho, and another NAI guy, like area guy. You love to see that. Obviously, we've both talked about Isaiah Moses, and he had to be their guy for a while, but now they're kind of rotating around. Alton Hamilton the fourth, he had 15 against the Cats in Bozeman. That handed them their first home loss in conference. Like this Eastern team, I'll just say it. Like obviously, I have a soft spot for them, but I love watching them play. It was fun to watch them in person. It was fun to watch Coach Lundgren and the guys play. And I think we've talked about before. Dan Monson, their head coach, was the guy who got fired and still took his team to March Madness. That's a motivator right there. And we love to see a team that has that blue chip mentality. And they went through a little bit of rough stretch there. That road loss to NAU wasn't great, but it's a tough conference to play in, right? And Eastern isn't backing down, and they find themselves with some big wins. They're tied with Sac State, and they're a game back from being in fourth place and
mm,
getting that 4-5 seed. Like that, it's a good place to be. Right there, they got some home games coming up. So I love watching Eastern. Also, Alton Hamilton the fourth. He's another NAI guy. Lewis Clark State transfer.
mm.
He's kind of fun to watch. They got a fun team. And they show a lot of grit and resiliency. And I just like to watch them play. I love a guy like Joey Anderson.
Mhm. Yeah, no, they're fun. They're a good team to watch. I kind of like similar formula for me with the Sac State stuff is like there's a lot of games that they're they like to play up to their opponents. For Sac State, it's mainly offensively, but for Eastern, I don't know what it is. When you look at the stats for Eastern, just on paper, like the odds are so against them. Their margin between points that they allow and points that they actually score is not great. Um,
Yeah,
and they're
you were
really
harping on their defense last week. I remember that.
their defense is pretty. It's interesting when you look, and obviously, I think kind of the beauty of this Eastern team is they're not a team of numbers. They're a team of results.
Right.
Um,
That's what I like
and
to see right there.
that's kind of a beautiful thing though. Like that, like I think and I want to preface this too for like all the Big Sky teams we talk about because there's going to be a worse team. There's going to, I mean, we've talked about NAU plenty, but like every team does something well. Every team has some reason to like them, and that's kind of something I want to point out. Like we talk negatively about some of these teams, but every team has something to root for. Every team has something to be excited about, and I think Eastern is out of every team the like I said, the team of results. Like they just find ways to win. Um, a lot like a lot like Portland State too. Like Portland State is obviously they have the stats to back it up, but we talked about it earlier in the year. Portland State just found ways to win, even when they probably shouldn't have won. And now they've really hit their stride. Eastern is a team that I think is just hitting their stride now, and the stats will start to level itself out. The things on paper will start to level itself out, but at best, like statistically, they're only like middle of the pack in a lot of things, like free throws, or sorry, like threes and free throws made and rebounding. Like they're usually about middle of the pack to bottom of the conference for a lot of stuff, and even then, they're not really like towards the top of that. Like they're not a force. They're not the fourth team for many stats. They're usually lower down. So like it is cool to see that you mentioned the resiliency. um, it's a team that doesn't they don't need numbers. They haven't needed numbers all year. They've beaten the best teams consistently. So they almost beat Portland State. We you and I watched parts like the end of that game. That was
Yeah,
on the road. Or sorry, at
that was
in
at home.
Cheney.
Yeah.
That was an awesome game. Um, so yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you know I want to critique Eastern. They needed to improve in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean that they haven't shown up. They have a lot of heart. Like that is something that is an intangible thing that you have to calculate when you are a team is do you have do you have the balls to play up to your opponents? And they do. A lot of nights this last week, they had the balls to say, "Hey, it doesn't matter if Montana State are fighting for against Portland State. We play up to these teams." Um, I don't think Montana or Montana State played down. I think Eastern played up. I mean, you can argue the Montana with the turnovers and stuff. Eastern capitalized. They totally could have allowed that to not matter. So, um, props to Eastern. They totally deserve all the credit right now, and don't be surprised if they're fighting for the 4 spot right now because that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, and just to put a bow on it, yeah, they had a tough go of it at one point. They were 2-13 in early January, and since then they've made it to 7-17. So obviously they've lost four, but won five. Right, they're over 500. In a real tough conference, and we're gonna talk about them in a second. They get two home games against Idaho State and Weber State. That could be a big boost. And then the rest of the season it gets a little tougher. Then they have to go at Sac and Portland, and that seems like the hardest road trip in the league right now with how Sac's playing at home. But then they get home games against Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona, and Idaho to close out the season. So there's plenty of stuff to capitalize on Eastern in the conference, but also we're still getting the Boise and who our Cinderella pick is right now, but based on the bracket goes, especially like with what we saw this week from them, like I Portland State seems like a really good team. So, but like I like Eastern to go on a little run, depending on where they are in the thing, and I really like to see a team that has a guy like Andrew Cook go out, who is the leading scorer, returning scorer in the conference, and hasn't played all year. And obviously, I don't think it's probably safe to say won't, based on just injury and how red shirts work. Like you would bring him back for that. Wait for next year. So credit to Eastern for still struggling. I mean, I'm not struggling for struggling, but then kind of bouncing. Um,
Mhm.
okay, what's your next takeaway from the week of basketball?
I want to bring up a team you just mentioned, actually, the Weber. You already mentioned it. We already talked about the like 4 seed, 6 and 6 4 seed. Weber, I think I was really excited about them to start the year, and I still like them. I like them at points, but I don't think they're going to necessarily play down to like super bad competition necessarily. But I am I'm gonna be honest, I'm not like super impressed with how they've played against competition of like equal value. Like that middle of the pack, like it's been tough to really I don't know. I just feel like I would have liked to see more from them. I think I still stand by Tajan Sane being, he's a dog. He does what he needs to do. But I mean, he's hasn't there have been nights where he hasn't been the guy, and that's okay. I feel like this is a team. I think my problem is this is a team that I thought had more, maybe a more versatile cast than I gave it credit for, and I just think there aren't enough guys that have like on nights for them at the same time as each other. They also don't. We talked about like when they played Montana, they have like it's a similar like size problem. They don't have like super great size, and the size that they do have isn't super. They're not super strong team either. Really easy to get bullied by um, guys who might not even be the most consistent. I mean, their bigs were getting bullied by Kenyon Nagino when they played Montana, which like Kenyon's awesome. I love Kenyon. I hope he sticks with Montana for a while, but he's still super raw. And when you have a super young guy who's bullying dudes who've been in the league, been in leagues, who've competed, it's probably less about their skill and probably just about the build at that point. I just think they struggle against some of the more athletic teams in the league. Um, but they have athletes, they have guys that I'm really excited about. I really like Weber. I'm rooting for them right now. They're kind of like my team that I always hope to win, but their trend is like just not super great. Um they've obviously had a couple of like not phenomenal losses, and a big thing too is yeah, that 6-6 record. Um will I don't know, we'll get into maybe some of these other teams, but like it's insane that like Idaho, like I don't think Weber State's the fourth best team right now. I'm still think that Idaho is over them. Weber, I'm just a little down on, and I don't know how like I don't know. I'm just not really a big fan of their trajectory. I'm a big fan of them. I really like Weber. I really want them to do well. Um, I thought they could compete kind of for that 3 seed. To be fully honest with you, I thought when Montana was maybe had lost a couple of rough ones to start, um, I was kind of maybe thinking that would kind of balance it out. Weber might bump up a bit, but Weber maybe hasn't really played up to some of the competition I thought they would. But I'm probably out of all the teams, I'm probably like the biggest Weber State. Like, I want these guys to do super well. This is a fun team. This is a team I like. I like a lot of these guys. It's just maybe not as athletic as I thought they were going to be. Haven't played up to similar competition times. Um, they just need to get some good wins to end the season, I think, to really convince me. But I don't think they're the fourth best team, even though they are 6-6. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that sticks out to me at Weavers, they did look really good too. Um,
Mm,
and that was when they won. They started 4-1 in conference,
yeah.
and that one loss was overtime to Portland State. Um,
Yeah.
then they went 3 losses in a row, a 2-point win over Idaho State Saturday matinee, and then 2 losses.
Mm,
And then finally got that bounce back win over NAU, who I think we should make a tier chart maybe next week, when we have a little more time, where we
Mhm.
tier each team, and they're not just gonna be,
Yeah.
S tier to be like, you know, team we think is gonna go dancing, and the bottom will be like
Yeah.
maybe could play in the Frontier Conference, right? Northern Arizona is right now in the Frontier Conference. Granted, they did get a win, but um, and I'm gonna talk about two other teams I think are just flat out bad right now.
Mhm.
But I do like Weaver's roster construction and something they have their guy right now with Same. He's led them in scoring the last like 8 games, I think. Seems like they're
Yeah.
doing better in conference when they're rotating around. I think our guy um, Viami Vertinen from Finland. I'd like to see
Berrettini.
him, yeah, be a little more of a dominant force. Suarez Jr. is another guy
Yeah.
who is kind of their leading rebounder, Edwin Suarez Jr. And they're a
Yeah.
young team too, Weber. So that I think there's growing
Yes.
pains, but yeah, I'd like to see them get back on the horse. But I do like their
Mhm.
roster a little better than what I'm about to talk about because I just like to
Mhm.
go on a little rant, and because we have to take the takeaways every week, we can be harsh. And we do the thing where one week we're like, this team's really good, and then the next week we say they're bad, and then one week we go, this team's really bad, and then they win 2 games. You know,
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm about to do that exact thing. I think both the Idaho teams are I think, and I know I'm reactionary because Idaho State lost at home to NAU. That's a terrible loss, man. That's like we called the Grizz losing to Eastern on the road a bad loss, but Eastern came and beat some teams. That's a terrible loss if you're Idaho State, man. You can't lose that game. It's like you're losing a bye game almost. I think Idaho State is really bad. There's some reasons around it. We saw Guerra as a really good guard, and in their 3 conference wins, he kind of starred in all of them. He had 24 in their win against Sac State back when Sac State was floundering. They beat Northern Arizona on the road only by 2 though. Gare had 21 in that one, or 20, 22, and then they beat Idaho in Pocatello. I don't know what was going on there, but since then they've lost 7 games. So Idaho State has lost 7 games. I think they're bad. They can't quite. Guerra, something happened to him. He's not their scorer anymore. Vandegren and Hollenbeck kind of have to take turns being the leading scorer. Hasn't worked. That game against NAU is bad. Granted, NAU is now broke 2 of my parlays. So I have some interesting thoughts on the Lumberjacks. They're only bad when I don't have money on them, but when I have money against them, they play good. But they're a team that can get hot. But there was just some stuff I don't see in that game that was bad. They lose to Northern Colorado. It's not a good loss, but and then of course they lose to Weber, Montana State. Eastern killed them too at home. Like I thought that was good. So, but it's kind of been known that Idaho State wasn't great. The other team that I want to talk about is I think Idaho's pretty bad. I think they came into the league and people liked them because they had a bunch of returners. They have a young coach who's great, and they've gotten some wins. They eked out a win over Eastern. They did beat the Cats at home by 3. Uh, they did beat Sac State, which now looks a little better, but I think that was when Sac State was bad. Other than that, I think Idaho's just not a good team, and they might have the worst in terms of just like what I think like works for a college team. Like sometimes you need to have the guy out there is good, or you just need to have some like pretty good t- players that complement each other. I just don't really like Idaho's team construction, and I haven't been able to watch Idaho. Idaho might be one of the teams I've watched the least in conference, and it hasn't been great. But like they have a bunch of different guys who can go off on any given night, which is good and bad. Like they got their freshman, Jackson Rasmussen, like he can be good, but when you need a freshman to be your best player, that's never good. Um, Colton Mitchell was a guy like Idaho's like marketing department was like really dogging on the conference because he wasn't the conference freshman of the year. Well, he's been good some games. Like he scored 21 against Montana State. The win 1 for 9 the next game against the Grizz. Like that's not great. Scored 2 against Portland State in a 3-point loss. Might add, like, could have used him out there a little more. I don't want to like
Mhm.
dog on individual players too much, but he's a guy like there's been games he's quiet. Biko Johnson last week, not this week against the Cats and the Grizz, but last week had a terrible week, and he's a guy like who when they're good, like he's someone they really do rely on. So I think both Idaho schools because maybe they played each other early. We got a conference win, but I think they're both pretty bad. And maybe if I obviously Idaho Idaho sits at that 4 or 5 seed. I would love to be like the Weber Sac State who gets to play Idaho first round of the tournament. And then Idaho State, like you're like Eastern Northern Colorado NAU zone. I'd love to play them like first round right now. Like that's like the team, especially with how Northern Colorado streaky shooting. I just think both the Idaho schools are bad. I know you might not agree as much as me, Max, but I just think right now as it stands, Idaho has a little more potential, but I just think they're both pretty bad right now. I'm not buying
Yeah,
stock. I'm
I
selling my Idaho stock. I didn't have much, but I'm selling it.
yeah, I think I like Idaho probably a little bit more than you do.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't selling my Weber State stock. I definitely just was not happy with the trajectory. I still am pretty, honestly, pretty high on their upside. But for Idaho, I mean, that's always they're a tough team for me to really like evaluate for how good. Because I agree with you on Idaho State. I just think they're not that. I think I really like Guerra. I still like him. I liked what I saw. I don't know what happened, and it kind of sucks because he's like solid. I love that Connor Hollenbeck's doing well. When if we're going into personal connection, I don't know Connor Hollenbeck personally, but he's from Rapid City, South Dakota. It's an area I covered in the past. And an area I was I'm still very fond of, and it's always cool. There are not a lot of South Dakota athletes really. Honestly, a lot of South Dakota athletes can just stay where they are usually because they have two Division 1 schools. They have two Division 2 schools. Actually they don't. They have more than two Division 2 schools. They have a lot of schools, really good. Um, they kind of keep you there. So when you see a kid like that do well outside of the Midwest, it's usually pretty cool. But yeah, they're just not a very good team. Don't match up well. When Garrow was kind of their scorer, it was nice, but um, Vandegren, like he only, he's off the bench a lot. Um, and when you rely a lot on a bench scorer like that to kind of heat up, it can be really tough when you only have a guy like Hollenbeck scoring most nights. Even like late teens, early 20s. So yeah, I'm off Idaho State. I like them a lot to start the year. I thought they would take wins off of good teams, but I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately for me. But I don't hate Idaho. I don't hate them yet. I think they have potential. I like Biko Johnson. I want him to be more efficient. But I still believe in him. He's a fun guard to watch play.
Yeah.
Um,
This is
but
entirely
yeah,
based on just me watching them. They shoot like they can be a very heat check 3 team. Like when I
yeah,
watched them lose that game against Idaho State, they were just,
mhm,
and I think I watched their game as well. They just there was times when it felt like they like needed to score and they just would shoot a bad heat check 3 sometimes. And when those go in, it works. But that's just off the
yeah,
rip, like me, right? I remember they were floundering against Idaho State in Pocatello, and they just kept jacking. I don't
yeah.
think that's gonna work.
You Yeah, it's tough when your game plan is shooting yourself out of a slump and not most of the time, but like if half the time it doesn't work, that isn't gonna really get you to the top of the conference, unfortunately.
And the Grizz would be on my naughty list if Idaho had beat them and Idaho played in a good first half. But you got to play a full game.
Yeah.
I just made a quick tier list. This is mine, Max. You can make your own, or you can confirm it, of how I feel just
Okay.
about them right now.
Yeah,
Going dancing, Portland State teams. I think
sure.
are championship game teams. and MSU teams that have got some ball players. That's the way I'll play it. Like they're there. They got some ball players. Weber, Eastern, personal favorite, Sac State. In the mid
Mm,
category, Idaho and Northern Colorado. We're gonna talk about Northern Colorado in a second, I think, Max, but they're both
sure.
they're both mid. In the bad category is Idaho State, and the NAI category is NAU. Idaho State's a couple losses from hanging out with the dogs. I love NAI basketball. They're a couple losses from being in the NAI category. Okay, NAU is
Yeah.
a win away from getting out of the NAI category. the bad category. So
Mhm.
credit to them. But that's just where I'm at right now. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I maybe like NAU a little bit more than NAI. Like they haven't looked great, but
I
I
know.
like if I think I mean they
You think
still
they should
have
be in just in the bad category? No one's in
I
the
just think they're
NAI
bad.
category
I
right
just
now.
think they're
Okay.
yeah, I think they're
They need to
bad
be.
in
I'll
my
move them
opinion.
up. They're moving up. They've been upgraded to
I
bad.
just feel I just feel bad because like Montana lost to an NAIA school this year, and they're good. Like they are good. Like that's the problem. So I'm gonna put more respect on the Lumberjacks, the Astro Jacks, whatever Jacks they are. Um, I am higher on the Jacks than Jack. I
Okay.
just think they're just straight bad. Um,
Great.
but Idaho State is also there. I think NAU is worse than Idaho State right now, but like
They just beat them head to head in Pocatello.
I I know, but like I still like
Yeah,
Idaho
yeah.
State a little bit. I like well, I like
They've
Vandegrift
got a better body
and
of work.
Hollenbeck. They do, and like I like Abelman, but like it's just the depth. That is one of the harder rosters for me to kind of like remember who I really like and dislike on the team. Like that is I obviously we cover here like all the Big Sky teams. It's hard to know every player on the roster, but NAU is probably of all the rosters probably the one I know the least about in terms of like traditional depth and even their starting lineup. Like Abelman is kind of the guy we know because he actually has stepped up quite a bit, and he deserves an absolute shout. Like obviously the section
Yeah, he's
segment is
good.
not about NAU,
He,
but
he he's the
Abelman,
reason I've lost some money on this podcast. I'll give him some credit for that.
yeah,
He's the
like
guy they're in
yeah.
transition, they're like on a run and he catches it and he jacks a deep three. I'm like, that's going in.
He's fun to watch. So obviously NAU, I've that's a team I've not watched a significant amount of, but it is yeah, I like Ryan Abelman. But yeah, I think back to the Idaho point, I still am higher on Idaho. I still like their guards. Like I think they just cannot they sometimes the live and die by the three has been like really tough for them. Um and I'd like this. I would certainly like to see more. Still think they're the fourth best team in the conference because like when they're hot, like they're super nice. They're super fun. But you know, I
I like both Sac and Weber over Idaho right now as the fourth best team in the conference.
Sack. I'm not that high on Sack. I have Weber at
Dude,
five and
I just maybe been watching too much Sac State basketball. I think they're
Weber.
like you just have to take out that really hard non-con schedule. I think they're good, and I think Prophet Johnson's like really really good. Like I think
He is.
he's entering like you look like Dalton Connect. Like you look back and you're like that guy was so damn good. Like that guy like. Anyway, uh, you had something to say about maybe Northern Colorado Bears.
Oh yeah, my last point is I won't harp on this too much. It's pretty evident to me with NoCo, like they've actually been trading up, and I want to give them total respect because like it was looking a little scary for them. Um, but like it was looking pretty brutal. But like they've trended upwards. I don't think that's a consistent thing, but I think it was a good week for them. They should be really happy about how they played. Um, um, I think Quinn Anchor probably needs a little bit more help. This is kind of gonna go back to that point I made earlier in the year about Money Williams needing more help. Um, Money luckily has had a little bit more help. I mean, they've had some issues, but I think that is a lot more to do with the turnover thing with Montana, and they just like to throw the ball away more than they should for how good of a team they are. That's a good roster, but um, for NoCo and for Norco and for Danker, like I just wish he had maybe a little bit more help this year because he's really fun to watch when he's good. He's had some pretty rough games, but I like him a lot. Like he is still a top five player in the Big Sky for me. Like when he really plays well, like he's fun. He's a good facilitator too. Like he has some really fun skills. Um, it kind of sucks when he has a bad game. There's not a lot of people who can step up. Wisney we've talked about.
Yeah.
Um, where Brock Wisney's nice, but um, yeah, I don't know. I just wish Denker had a little bit more help because I honestly think this Northern Colorado team is a lot closer to being like top of the conference than they are from being like you know bottom of the conference. Like I legitimately think this is a team that maybe like a player or two, maybe just like a player away from like winning some games they probably should have won. Um, having like one extra guy. Um, I don't think they're like that bad of a team, but yeah, they've had some. They have like I've talked about the no-co, like their some of their rebounding issues and stuff. So um, yeah, I don't know. I like Denker. Wish he had a little bit more help, but I wanted to shout him out and give him his props. But also like I really hope Northern Colorado. I really want the rest of that roster to start to step up a little bit more throughout the season because I think they're way close to that middle to high like part of that like to the top end of the middle of the pack teams right now than they are to the bottom. Because they match up well against a lot of teams, but it's just they've just yeah, they're just some areas that they need to step up in, and I just want to see Danker maybe go on a little bit of a tourney run. So um,
Yeah. He's a candidate for like a guy who could go nuclear in the tournament and like lead their team in Cinderella like him and like get like Prophet Johnson and like T-John
yeah.
obviously. But T-John's more of a volume scorer. Like Wisney's the kind of, or not Wisney, Danker's the kind of guy who all of a sudden like very microwave score, hot and cold, you know. And that
Yeah.
makes him really fun and like dangerous. But you're right, like he does like on nights where he's cold, you'd like a second scorer who's and not the dog on Wisney, like he's having a good year and he's a guy who came back. But I think
Mhm.
he's, he's 6'9", he's a big dude, 245. Like talk about a guy that football team could use. Um, so I think he's more of a rebounder. He's a good defensive piece. He's a good like pick and roll piece. But like,
Mhm.
he's a big and like Denker and Wisney are both good. But outside of that, like, I guess you kind of get Zach Block, who's another guard. He's like
Yeah.
6'2". Like he's having a good year. Like he scores 12 a game. Um, and he's shooting pretty well. I just don't. Yeah, so he's. I guess maybe just more of a microwave guy. I guess I don't. I don't really know why he. I guess he just hasn't really been playing. He hasn't scored a lot in their recent games. He went 2 for 12 against Eastern, but he's another guy who could be there. And then you have both those Yamazaki and Ring Neri. They're both just like
Yeah.
length guys who are defenders. But the funny thing is they're not like great as a defensive team, Northern Colorado,
Yeah.
even though those guys seem like they're very good defenders. So yeah, it'd be fun if I think maybe it's a guard they're looking for because they got good
Yeah.
forwards like we just said, and Block is
Mhm.
pretty good and has been good in some games, and
Yeah.
he's their best 3-point shooter. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him and shout out for him 7 assists a game. Like yeah, he's a great ball player. Okay,
Yeah.
that's our takeaways. Yeah, Northern Colorado is such a weird kind of an enigma team because on the right night they're so good, but then they're bad.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them beat one of the top three teams in the conference, and then I'll actually respect them. But for now, they're okay.
That feels like a team that
I
could
wouldn't, yeah, I wouldn't
re
want to play them right
they
now. I
could
have them
be
in the mid
th-
category because they've lost some bad games, but I
yeah.
keep an eye on them too.
Yeah.
Okay, time to move on to bracketology. Not much to say for bracketology this week.
Mhm.
Um, we have ESPN pretty lazy. They have Portland State still playing as a 14 seed against Gonzaga. And Portland, we've talked about that matchup. We've talked about Gonzaga, even though they did just lose to the Portland Pilots. So maybe there's a Portland curse for the Zags. That's the only positive from that thing, other than I think that's a great matchup. Look
Yeah.
out. Former Eastern coach Shante Leggins leads the Pilots. He was always a fun coach in Big Sky. I miss him. He,
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw this, Max. He was a practice player because they didn't have enough practice players this week, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
tore his Achilles. I love that. Like I love that.
God,
That and if
that's
you, so then
so
he
insane.
was like had like a chair on the sideline, like wouldn't stay in it. Yeah. Um,
Jeez.
and the other one, the net, the net bracket. Boys at bracketologists have number 2 UConn playing number 15 Portland State in Oklahoma City. I know Gonzaga doesn't seem a great matchup, but I think we both agree that that's the one you want. Versus UConn doesn't seem like a fun team to play.
Yeah, I agree. I would rather because at least in Portland you probably have a small chance of some fans showing up. You have like you can sleep in your own bed in theory. Um, going going to
True.
Oklahoma City, like that sucks in its own right. Going all the way to Oklahoma, and then you have to play the psychopath that is Dan Hurley and the Utah Huskies. Like, that's like actually, I haven't thought about this a lot, but I think if I was a player, like I was a player on a random Power Four team, actually any college team that made the tournament, the team I would least want to play is UConn, and it's just because then I have to play against Dan Hurley, who's a fucking crazy person. That's like my that's my that is like my bottom. Not because I mean they're good, obviously, but like that is literally my like the floor. Like if I have to watch that guy yell for like the whole game, like that would I don't know how his players do it. Like he is actually a psychopath. Um, like I don't he does it like and those guys like they love him. They love how much he puts them through like I mean he's putting them through torture and practice that, not even, US government was doing at Guantanamo Bay. Like, it's like Dan Hurley was like fucking crazy. So, anyways, sorry, that was a tangent but the Portland State does not want to play UConn. They don't want anything to do with UConn. If you can play Gonzaga, like you'll take it because man, I would much rather play Gonzaga
Yeah,
than UConn.
UConn's resume, they've lost 2 games, one to Arizona, who I believe is now the number one team
They're
in the country, and then they just
and
lost a
still
game
undefeated.
at St. John's in the Garden. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
that's a tough one.
and I saw, yeah, that's a good game. Um,
So
their leading scorer is who's their leading scorer? UConn.
is it well, whatever his name is?
Solo Ball Junior.
Oh yeah.
He's
Yes,
a
yes, yes,
UConn
yes, yes,
player.
yes.
Okay, so yeah,
Dog.
yeah, not a fun team you want to play.
No.
And I agree, I'd rather play
Cool.
Gonzaga. Okay, player of the week. You picked Terry
Yeah.
Miller Jr. from
Oh
Portland
yeah.
State. I picked
I
Quinn
did.
Denker. I liked his 31 points. More so, it's a hard week to pick it because there were some.
Yeah.
No one really had two good performances. I just see that Terry Miller went 8 for 24. So
Yeah.
that was that
That's
game was there was a lot of misses in that game. The Sac State Portland State
yeah.
game. It was like all like the guys who like love to score a lot, but like Mikey Williams goes 4 for 15. Like yeah, but Terry Miller Jr. That's your pick, and that's a pretty. He had it. What was his other game? I'll pull it up for you,
He
but
had
that's your
he
pick.
had like 20 he had like
He had 22 in both. Yeah,
22 in both, yeah. So that was my reason. So I always it's really hard for me on weeks where there are especially because and obviously you and I don't really know the formula for what
yeah.
it's pretty subjective what
We'll
it
just
looks
get to
like.
the bottom of
But
that.
the first thing I always look at is like what teams swept, what teams won all their games in the week. Portland was one of only two teams that won both of their games the whole wait, yes, one of only two because of Eastern. Eastern won both their games this
And
week.
then NoCo
Pretty
won both their games, right?
Oh, and then Noko. Sorry,
Yeah.
right. So three. Sorry. But that was the big thing was it was kind of between someone from Northern Colorado, which it would have. Danker was my second
Yeah,
pick.
that's
I
why I
Danker
chose
is very
Danker because NoCo won both their games.
yeah. That was like the big one was I the 14 points was low, but it wasn't like the worst game in the world. Terry Miller did have the inefficient, but he had 222 points and obviously defensively was still did what he needed to do. Like he had a couple steals in both those games and I liked that a little bit more. They're still 10-1, which I think is that is really says a lot. They steal a game from Sacs. I think even though they are a better team than Sac State, like you're playing against a team that has an unreal home presence right now. So that's a good win for them, and I think
And a
Terry
guy
Miller
who's
did a really good
playing
job.
out of his mind right now, and probably Johnson.
Exactly.
Like he's on one of the great runs I
Exactly.
think we've seen in a minute. Yeah, and
Exactly.
I picked Danker too. He had 31 and 9. But to say Tay Miller Jr., we've talked about him on this podcast a fair amount. and he's a fun player. But I don't know if we've talked about he plays with this attitude that I love. Like he has
Mhm.
this competitive spirit. I haven't been at a game with Terry Miller Jr. playing.
Mhm.
Like I'd like to go when they play the Grizz here, but he talks
Yeah.
trash. He's up in your face. He's expressive. He's a fun guy. And forever, because he's like a medium sized like power forward. I couldn't think of who
Mhm.
he reminded me of, and it finally clicked the other day. And it's because it's not a basketball player. He reminds me of Josh Naylor on my Seattle Mariners. Like they have the same
My
like hair
God.
almost too, and they both like are very like they seem like grumpy guys, but they're like very expressive and they're very fun to watch and they're very competitive. So Terry Miller Jr. like let's check his DNA. He might be related to Josh Naylor. So I just wanted to add that the other day. It finally clicked why he seems so familiar. He reminds me of Josh Naylor. I'm gonna pull up for the people at
There
home.
you go.
There's okay. Here's Terry Miller Jr. Wait. Okay, people at home, you see the small Terry Miller Jr. on your screen. He's on the left side. Okay, and then we're gonna bring up Josh
Al-
Naylor now. Seattle Mariners,
Also,
who
yeah.
they re-signed, by the way. I'm excited to
So
see him. Okay, you
I
can't
knew
see
that.
his
I
hair in
knew
this
that.
photo, so it's not great. But oh man, they even have the same mustache, and they have the same facial hair. Yeah, look it up. Look it up, Max.
The No, I believe you. I've seen Josh Naylor plenty
you've
of
seen you've
times.
seen Josh Naylor. Okay.
I've seen a lot of Terry Miller Jr. this
I'm
year.
not sure
So
if we've ever seen them in the same room. Like, what if Josh Naylor just likes to play basketball? Terry Miller Jr. is 6'8", though, so I don't think
yeah, I
Josh
was gonna
Naylor's that
say
tall.
is he was like 6'8", 6'9". There's no.
Yeah, I love
I don't
Josh
know how
Naylor.
tall Josh Naylor is, but
I love the way both
um,
both of them play sports. So yeah.
yeah. I I don't want to detract too much from your point, but you mentioned Portland State plays at Montana la February 28th. So just
Okay, yeah.
that's
We're gonna
a
get to the upcoming
appointment
games.
view
There's and
appointment
I
viewing for
think
us in the very
that week Sac State and Portland State both come in town, isn't it, for the Grizz?
yeah they play them Sac State Montana's Thursday. That is
That's some
yeah,
fun week of
Jack and I have
basketball. We
got
might need to hit
Jack and I
both
might
of
be.
them. Yeah.
We I've listen, this this is planning on camera that we'll talk about off camera, but that might be big week for the 20 years and counting pod.
Podcast.
We
Yeah. Good content.
might be a full week of basketball. We might be doing some two appointment viewings. Jack might be in the house. He might come to Missoula.
Who might?
He might
Oh, Shaq. Yeah. Mike
Shaq can
McGlynn's
bring
gonna be there. It's so crazy because when I
dude.
first saw it, Mike McGlynn's car, I was like, "There's no way that Mike." Like, I'm so excited to watch him play here.
Mhm.
I'm excited to see Prophet Johnson play basketball.
I don't think anybody
That's not
was thought
ridiculous.
that Prophet John. Yeah, that's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say. That's that's not crazy to say. Uh,
We've lost the plot. I'm excited. This week we got a big game coming up too. We'll talk about.
yeah.
Our pick'em that we do every week. A reminder: Max went 3-1. We both got the UN game wrong. He picked an NAU road win over Idaho State. Mainly the reason I called Idaho State a really bad team today.
I'm a
I let
genius.
my picks get the best of me. My emotions. NAU's burnt me twice. I'm still gonna pick against him. Um, so anyway, here's where we got. Let's. I have it written in my doc here, but let me just for funsies pull up the game times because I think that's always fun, to see
Mhm.
the game times in the Big Sky Conference. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
overall though, Max is 15-5. If you're betting at home, if you're spread betting, that's not spread bet. That's just money line bet. So um, you might have to parlay that if you want to make some money. Spread bet I know gets a little different. But I'm 12-8. We've both corrected. Got two player of the weeks. We got last week's right. 12-8's not great, but if you count, I had 2 weeks where I went 4-0. So we're still up about 7 units. No big deal.
Yeah.
That's about to change to 6 once I place my bet. So anyway, this
Mhm.
Thursday, February 12th at 6 p.m. Sac State, fun team, a team that can't win on the road, travels to Northern Colorado, an Enigma team. Ooh, that's fun. Also
Yeah.
at 6, Portland State travels to NAU. I think we feel like we know what's going to happen there. 7 p.m., Weber State travel. This is all mountain time, folks. Weber State
Mhm.
travels to Idaho.
Mhm.
Good game for both these teams. And finally, Idaho State, the chance to prove me wrong. 7 p.m. game in Cheney at EWU. So let's start with that Northern Colorado Sac State game. We're both picking NoCo. I'm not like sure I want to pick NoCo. And the metrics always favor NoCo where they get like points, so it's gonna have to be a money line pick on my parlay. But you like NoCo in this one?
Yeah, I think they match up. Well, one, obviously the road game thing is, I think, a huge factor. Like Sac State does not obviously play well on the road. I there no, Northern Colorado matches up really well too against this team. I We talk about Sac State being really bad defensively. Um even I think about it like this when you're looking at two teams that are like bottom rung when it comes to stuff like rebounds and stuff, you kind of look for the one that has a little bit more of an edge. And I think Northern Colorado does. And when you have the home presence, that's even more for me. So I think they match up well. I think even though they both struggle at a lot of at some of the same things, Northern Colorado is like a little bit better than them at quite a few of those. So um, it's just tough when you're the worst defensive team in the league in Sac State, and that's not just anecdotal. That's statistically. Northern Colorado, I think, is going to win this. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout. I don't think it's going to be like Northern Colorado is going to get their swagger back with this one, but like, um, Sac State's really going to have to put up some points. Like I said earlier, like they got to score, they got to shoot the lights out of the gym. So, um, and Northern Colorado can. They can also shoot back. So I think it'll be a bit of an old fashioned Mexican standoff in Greeley.
Okay, I think I've decided I want to change my pick, and I don't really know why.
Mm,
But I
I like
like
this.
Sac State to win this game, and I need to get some points back from you, Max. And I don't know if I like them to win outright. I like them to make it close and take some
Mm,
points. I don't know if they're gonna get blown out. Last time they played was at Sac, obviously. 4-point
mm,
overtime win. You might remember that game, Max. It was fun.
yeah,
That would Profit had 30 points. Now, if Profit
yeah.
Johnson's hurt, I'll take Northern Colorado. And I don't know how I'm gonna check that. Maybe I'll just Twitter search Prophet Johnson's name. But that'll get me my answer. Um,
They have some good media over there that might
yeah, they do
actually
have a
like,
good student paper.
and the
Yeah,
Sacramento Bee. So I obviously that doesn't mean like everybody knows when there's injuries, and also they're still a smaller school in comparison to a lot of stuff. But like usually if the media is a little bit more prominent, like you have a better chance of knowing if there's an injury. Like
yeah,
I, but I mean, to be fair, every place that is here has newspapers, has people that cover them, which my reminder, support your local reporters, support your local newspapers. These are people who work their ass off, do not get paid enough, do the job that they do, and they're willing to, they love what they do. So I love what I do. So support your local reporters because
yeah.
they really give a crap about the stuff that they cover. So, and all these places are lucky enough to have local papers, Standard Examiner in Ogden, Greeley Tribune, Cheney Press, Moscow Pullman Daily News. Like these are
And
all,
they got the
uh,
spokesman review out there too.
yeah, Spokesman Review. They have people who cover obviously Missoulian for us, Bozeman Daily Chronicle over out east. I mean the Oregonians obviously in Portland, and we just mentioned Sacramento Bee. So a lot of great places where you can get
Yeah, they
um,
got a good one in Flagstaff
stuff.
too.
Yes, I follow one of their reporters. I can never remember the name of it. But also do great work
I
at
think
NAU.
Brennan Martin, I think his name is. He was at some Big Cat tournaments with us when he was a student there.
Yeah,
He works sports there. I saw him tweet something recent.
perfect.
He's always tweeting
Yeah.
making videos, so shout out.
NAU
But
also has a
yeah,
great student media program too.
yeah, I'm gonna switch to Sac State in that game, and I want to take the road points. If they're favored,
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll take Sac State. Next game, we
Nice.
both Portland State are gonna beat NAU. That seems simple.
Yeah.
Portland State is like that's why I think they're in a better echelon than UM and MSU's. They haven't lost any bad games in conference, and I'm not worried they will. So yeah, and then
Yeah.
the Idaho
Good.
Weber game. I don't like
Wait,
Idaho.
no. Before you go on to this one, I want you to put up for Portland State NAU. Can you
Oh
can you
no.
put up the meme of atomic bomb versus newborn baby, whatever it is, because that's what it. This is so mean. I'm such an asshole. This is so. I feel so bad, but
Yeah.
I actually. That's all I could think about when
For the folks, for
you.
the folks who are tuned in on YouTube, here is on the
Yeah.
left side of your screen. You will see a photo that shows the hydrogen bomb versus the coffee baby.
I, okay, I'm done with this game. We're moving, we're moving on. I know this is the far more interesting game.
All the NAU fans watching are gonna be pissed.
You can be mad at please. You can be mad at me. You could. I If they win though, like if the by the grace of God they win, I will do. Okay, if NAU beats Portland State,
Clip this and
I
tag me.
will. If NAU beats Portland State, um, I will. I will. I'm lactose intolerant. I'll chug a carton of milk on this podcast if NAU beats Portland State
To start
on Thursday.
To start the podcast. That'll be
Start,
the
yeah,
opening.
start
So
the
you can like
podcast.
leave during the podcast.
Yeah, if I need to both shit my pants and roll up at the same time. So, that's
Yeah.
my bet for NAU fans if they want me for retribution. If NAU pulls off the upset of the season, literally the upset of the
Yeah.
season, it would
Would
be
be.
even close.
Okay.
Um,
Moving on. Idaho. We were at Idaho. 5-6, 6-6. This really very well is a battle for fourth place in conference. Depends how the rest of the weekend goes too. Um, at Idaho, Idaho at home 3-2. Weber on the road is 2-3. I want to take the points with Weber because I imagine Idaho will be favored
yeah.
by like 2.5. Hey Weber,
Mhm.
keep it close. I might lose on this one, but I just like don't have high stock in Idaho. And the only other really thing I have from it is Idaho plays Idaho State at home on Saturday. So they just might be
Oh,
maybe looking ahead to that game. I know they're not one to with conference games, but they want revenge. I know that's the game they have circled on their calendar. But yeah, Weber hasn't looked great either. Both teams haven't looked great. I think it might be ugly. It could come down.
mhm.
Weber's a good 3-point shooting team. They were for a while best in conference. So
Yeah.
yeah, it might just come down to that's really an any given night game. I think kind of a coin flip game, Max. But you like Idaho home team probably, I imagine. But
Yeah, I mean home team, but also
you've been
I
burnt by Weber
think
before that Grizz game.
I remember by Weber
Yeah.
before. I've already said I really like Weber. Johnson, I actually think like he's a pretty solid defensive. Like he can be pretty solid defensively against like smaller guards and stuff. And I could see him matching up pretty well against like a Colton Mitchell or something like. That would not surprise me that much, even though Colton's obviously not like small. Like he's like 6'1". Tijon's like 5'10", but like he still matches up well against like he can match up pretty well against some guys who are even a little bit taller than him, but small. I don't want to say smaller guards, smaller players on the court. But I think it's a good. I honestly think this is going to be a really good week for Idaho. I think they're going to get back against Idaho State. I don't think that's a super crazy take, but I think Idaho is going to. I just think Idaho is going to have kind of a moxie this week that maybe they didn't have last week. Um, when you're at home, it obviously helps, but I think they're gonna. I think the shooting is going to come to them a lot more this week. I think they're going to find their stride a bit. Um, I'm honestly predicting a good week for Biko Johnson, in my opinion. I think he's going to have maybe not player of the week, but I just think he's going to have a solid week for what he is. Like he's maybe not going to shoot himself out of games. Like he's going to be. I really think Biko's gonna have a nice week. I think Colton might have like I think one of the games he's gonna do really well. I think some guys are gonna step up this week. Yeah, I think Idaho is probably not super happy about the last week. They have a great chance to take fourth. Why not do it against your rival and do it against a Weber team that is probably going to give you, a run for your money for that fourth spot. So yeah, I think they have a revenge week in them this week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean that's well thought out, and I think I think they're gonna have revenge against Idaho State. We'll talk about the game a little bit, but I'll take the points to Weber. And then finally, Idaho State at Eastern. We both like Eastern. We both think Idaho State is getting Eastern at home. They've been good at home this year. Let's see, Eastern is 2-2 at home. I know those, but those two losses are to Portland State and Montana State. So credit to
Yeah,
them. Idaho State is 1-5 on the road. So I like
yeah,
our odds there. But you never know with
agreed.
this conference, right? Okay, the feature in upcoming games, though, there's none of those dang Monday games, which they do factor into player of the week, and we keep forgetting to guess that, but we got
Yeah.
it right this week. But we've been burned
Mhm.
by it before. Portland State plays at Northern Colorado on Saturday. Don't expect the game to be fun. They get NoCo and NAU, who at one point were the bottom two teams. We'll see. That could be a good game for NoCo. I know when they played Portland State the first time, was that the game that was a close game? Yeah, that was the game where almost Portland State like tried to lose, but they still won, right? Does that sound right to
Um,
you?
y- yes, yeah, that was yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
I
yes,
remember
yes.
that one. Like it was like okay, Portland State is real legit, and they like even when it seems like they're trying to lose, they still
Mhm.
yeah. Let's see how did it go? It was in yeah 76-73 is a very fun game. And was that the
Mhm.
Terri Miller 10 turnover game? It was. Okay.
Yes.
It was. Yeah, that's right.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, 6 for 15, 10 turnovers, 18 points. Henderson scored 19. Henderson's, yeah, okay, yeah. And Denker went 6 for 15. So, yeah, that should be, it could be, we'll see if Denker has it in him. Idaho State at Idaho, like we were talking about, that'll be a fun one. I know that'll have a good turnout. Idaho's going to want some
Mhm.
revenge. And honestly, they have a great opportunity too because Idaho State is really, really playing not good basketball right now. So I like Idaho State.
Mhm.
And we're not picking that one officially, but I think it's fair to say Idaho's going to get some get back there. Weaver plays at Eastern. That might be a pretty fun game to watch if you got a free
Yeah.
Saturday. Just two teams that I think have played well. Eastern, hungry dogs, but Weber also trying to preserve
Mhm.
that spot. Sac State plays at NAU. Kind of a that one. Both teams have been Sac State's been real bad on the road, but NAU hasn't just been a
Mhm.
great team overall. So you never
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen down there. That could be fun. And then finally, Cat Grizz 2.0. We didn't actually foreshadow the first one. We didn't talk about it that much because mainly just really the Cats swarm the Grizz. Since then, the Cats have had some bad injuries. They both have had some not great losses. The
Mhm.
Eastern two losses, and I think for in those programs, I mean those are big wins for Eastern, but in their programs, they would say those aren't great losses. Grizz, um, they both lost on the road to Sachs too. So yeah, that should be fun,
Mhm.
and it's in Dahlberg this time around. What are your thoughts for Cat Grizz 2.0 basketball?
That'll be a fu I think they split this year. I do think Montana gets the better of them this year. Cat Grizz is it's not like Dahlberg's have it's always tough because like the crowds over the years, like after COVID, like the crowds just kind of weren't good. And they've gotten a little like incrementally better. The student sections are still terrible. Sorry, students
Yeah,
of
there's just a
University
bunch
of
of like
Montana.
middle
We're
schoolers there now. Not saying like fill it. Like you should
yeah.
just have a good student section if you're a UM. I know MSU has a good one. So, but yeah.
Exactly, and the thing that's and I know, like, they have the beer garden now at UM, and, like, that takes up a lot of that seating that they used to kinda be, like, multi-purpose seating. I know, like, if you really, like, wanna open it up and make it feel like a big arena, you can, but, beer garden's making them more money than the students are, so, like, that's my that like, at the end of the day, like, you Montana has one of the mm, I mean, they're one of the most historic teams in the Big Sky in terms of basketball, arguably like the most historic. I mean, you can argue that's an objective thing, but like they've got a lot of prestige. And when you go when Jack and I went to the game where they played Weber and the student section was like it was pretty brutal, and the crowd there wasn't too bad. The crowd was actually pretty decent. I thought
Yeah,
it
it's
was
a
a
little
decent
worse on
turnout.
Thursday against Eastern.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like there's some but like that Weber game was like a decent turnout, like I think for what they usually get, but regardless, my point is Montana State is always the game they pack out. The game is like it's not like a sellout game necessarily. Um, because I usually am still able to get tickets like later into the week.
It's on
Um,
Valentine's Day.
that's another thing too that's going to be interesting. Is what Jack and I are going to do for.
We won't be there.
Actually, I we will not be there. I will actually be doing my other job. I will be in Ronan
Oh,
covering. I'll be covering Ronan Polson cross city rivalry. I guess cross. It's not really cross town, but the town versus town. That's their big rivalry up there. But anyways,
oh,
regardless, it'll still be a good turn. I think it'll still be a great
yeah, it
turnout.
will.
Like
You
there are a
know,
lot of a lot of single people there.
yeah, they're single. Cagger is this weird.
Exactly.
It's like the opposite of Galentine's. The
Yeah.
Broentine's Day.
Ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Though
But it's hey,
that's
if you're a
not
girl,
place.
you can go to the game. There's some hot guys in both teams. Anyway, um, something that popped in my head is UM just lost their president. Um, and I think it wouldn't hurt to get a guy. I think he's a bit of a snake oil salesman, but like Dr. Wood over at Sac State, because I don't think you should he because you could do what he does at UM, but not lie, like or because UM could tell people they're going to FBS and like make it in the Mountain West, right? Or like they could talk
Sure.
about how good their basketball team is and like back it up on the court a little. Well, basketball is a little impartial because they beat UM basketball first time they played.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see a president, and there's a lot of issues to solve as a president at UM. And I think Bodner, the last president, did embrace athletics and he cared about athletics. But I'd like to see a guy who really like sells athletics, if that makes sense. Like fire up a Twitter account and tweet about the games. Get people interested, get people going. Bodner's coming from the roof thing was pretty cool. But other than that, like I'd
Yeah.
like a guy who obviously cares about athletics, and don't we all? But like every other person on campus wants other stuff. It's hard to be a university president, but I'm just saying that's not the worst. When you're hiring for a guy, it wouldn't kill us to get a guy who gets some butts and seats, and I think that's all around college basketball. That's a problem, and so shout out to SAC
Mhm.
for filling out games. MSU's had good turnouts. I don't even know what attendance looks like right now, actually, around the conference, so I shouldn't speak too much about who's where.
Mhm.
And I think Idaho's had a couple well attended games, and they're gonna have one this weekend.
Mhm.
But Portland State has had some good turnout games too. Shout out them. I watched a couple
Yeah.
of those. But I'd love to see some butts
Yeah.
and seats at any Big Sky game, UM included.
Yeah, I agree. With like, yeah, that I don't know what I really want. It's really tough if you're stepping into the president job at UM. Like, you have a lot
You've
of.
had a lot to do. Yeah.
I I hate to be the person who's like you're playing catch up with Montana State, but Montana has been for years. They're behind on enrollment. They're they're behind on a lot of things. I mean, it took them forever to get their new dining facility. So like you have all that other stuff you have to worry about, which is like which is little brother, isn't really so little anymore. They're off a national championship. Um, hell, their girls basketball team is
Oh yeah,
murdering
they
people.
might kill the
They're
Grizz.
like they'll probably kill the Grizz, and that sucks. Because the Lady Grizz is, and I don't think this is not an objective. This is arguably like a factual statement. Lady Grizz basketball for decades was leagues and leagues the best women's team in the Big Sky Conference. It wasn't even that close for decades. Now they are not that good. This is not a women's basketball podcast, but if it was, I have a lot of thoughts
Yeah.
about Montana. But at the same time, it's like that's the question that they do have to have. It's like, what do you want to see in a president? For university that is historic, has a lot of things going for it, still does. I love that university to death. I am a I am a third generation Montana graduate, and I'm going to be super biased about the way I think things should be run. What I can tell you right now is if you step in, the athletics is definitely something you have to consider. That is a huge moneymaker. The economic impact behind that is insane. But you are playing catch up with the university with a higher enrollment than you, um, one that is outpacing you in a lot of different ways. And so how do you balance that? I don't know if I have those answers, but it's definitely one of those things where um like you have to be really considerate of that. You really do. So yeah.
I could not agree more. You ready to do our guessing game?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get to
Okay.
let's get to it.
Today, Max, hopefully get a better redemption, and I think you should, than
Okay.
3 strikes as always. And the last time we did a similar one. Your name, this is according to some crazy website, the last 10, no, 11 Big Sky Conference players to play in the NBA.
Hmm.
I thought it for a second it was drafted. It's not drafted. It's to play in the NBA, and G League doesn't count. And if you transferred away, it does count. So I don't know if they had every single transfer ever. I'm not like there could
Okay.
have been a guy who redshirted his school and then went somewhere else, but I am pretty sure this is a pretty definitive list. So these are the last 11 Big Sky guys. You get 3 strikes. There's a couple pretty easy ones that you can guess, and I'll give you. And then if I start to get worried, slash, there's a couple that I'm gonna have to. I'll give you the team they played for, what year they played the league, and what team. Okay.
So okay, so last okay, who's most recent
11 big.
Big
You
Sky?
don't have to go in order, but last 11 Big
Okay.
Sky guys.
I
But recency might help.
that was what yeah, I do think this is actually one where I think recency might be big for me.
Yep.
Um so I'm gonna go with sorry, you said if they transferred, that's fine. That counts.
Yeah, there's at least
Okay.
2 on here who transferred out of the Big Sky.
Okay. So my most recent is gonna be Cedric Coward.
Yeah,
Right?
Cedric
That count?
Coward.
Okay.
Yeah, he played in 2020.
Coward
He's the only
for
Big Sky
Eastern.
Conference player who's played this year. Eastern and then Washington State.
Perfect.
He
Cedric
played
Coward.
played for
Okay.
the Grizzlies this year. While you're thinking, let me pull up his stats.
Yes. Um,
Cedric Coward does
my
play for the Grizzlies. He's
is
averaging
it Dylan?
13 points per game this year.
Good for him. Good for
Yeah.
him. Um, uh, sorry, I just read something. I'm a master's student, by the way. I thought something that I had to do was overdue, but it was not overdue. So don't worry,
Okay,
you
we're
guys.
good. We're,
I'm a
we're
good
in the
student.
green.
I'm a good student. We're in the green. And my Wichita State Shockers beat Tulane. So, anyways,
Great. Yeah. My Vermont
um,
Catamounts. That's like we both have our favorite other mid-major teams. We should
yeah,
honestly just do our segment on them at the end of every podcast. My
yeah,
Vermont Catamounts got a bounce back win over New Hampshire this
yeah.
week. They were sliding. Yeah, they get the worst team in the league, being Hampton, on Thursday, and then a
There we
Saturday
go.
showdown against the Bryan Bulldogs. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll have to see who Wichita State plays. I don't know, but that is where I'm getting my master's degree. Shock them. But anyways, Dylan Jones, is that the next one?
yeah, Dylan Jones. But there's th- three, 2024 guys. Um,
320. Okay.
Dylan
Um.
Jones is one of them.
Oh,
Obviously, a Weber State
Dal-
guy. Dalton
Dalton
Connect.
Connect
Yeah, Dalton Connect is another
and
one. He played for Northern Colorado, transferred, and now he's kind of got a sad thing going. For
yeah, unfortunately,
and so does Dylan
Dalton
Jones is
Connect.
on the. Did he got traded to Portland, or did he just get traded? Let me look it. Hold on. Well, why don't I just look this up?
You'll
He was
have to
on.
look. I
He
kind of
was
forget.
on the OKC. He was an NBA champ, so credit to him.
Okay.
Um,
This one is actually going
he
to
was on
be.
the Knicks. He
This
got
is a
traded to
guess.
the Knicks. Sorry,
Right.
he's
No, you're.
averaging
Yeah.
1 point per game this year. He's
Okay.
played in 3 games for the Knicks. Um,
Nice.
and he scored 3 points. And it was against Portland, revenge game. Okay,
Nice.
so yeah, you did
There's
pretty
another. There's
well.
another one I'm missing.
Yeah, there's a guy. This is a little harder because he transferred
Okay.
out.
He transferred out. Okay. It. Isaac Jones was undrafted, right?
No, but these are guys who played in the league. Isaac Jones did play in the league. These are the last 11 Big Sky Conference that he counts.
No. I know. Oh, Isaac Jones counts.
You're right. You got like Isaac Jones.
Oh,
He
okay.
counts. If you say their names,
Okay, sounds
you'll
good.
remember. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. Sorry. Sorry. I
Yeah,
thought it was
sorry.
last 10 to play.
It's not draft. These are the last 10 to play
11 to.
in NBA minutes.
Okay.
Not to get
Perfect.
drafted.
That actually made it a little bit easier because I knew Isaac Jones was
Yeah.
not drafted, but I know he played.
Isaac
Okay.
Jones was not drafted. What? How do I spell this guy's name?
Isaac
ISAAC.
Jones? Can we talk about a guy who's fun to watch? That guy had like infinite bounce. It
Yeah,
was like
he
actually
transferred from Idaho um
Washington
to
State.
Washington State. There was some ill will there. I know that. He is on the
Yeah.
Pistons this year. He played on Sacramento for 3 years.
Yeah.
Um, or no, he's on the Pistons this year. He
Hmm.
technically it's still his first season. In the regular season, he's played in a couple games, 4 games, including he scored 2 points against. Oh, this was all against Sacramento, but then he got traded to the Pistons. He has not played for the Pistons yet.
Oh,
So anyway, you
right.
got 4. You got Cedric Coward, Dylan Jones, Isaac Jones, Dalton Connect. Um, those guys, 2024. Okay, our
Good year.
next
Good
our
year for the
next
Big
guy.
Sky.
Since we're going down the list, are 2 guys who both last played in the league. I believe this is when they last played. No, it can't be. No, not last played. It was when they first played in the league, and this was
Mhm.
2019.
You guys played in 2019?
Yeah, or you can just guess a
Oh,
couple other guys. But
I have an idea of who one of them
okay,
is.
feed
Is
it to
it
me.
is it Keljin Blevins?
Belgian Blevins is on the list because he was Damian Lillard's cousin.
I don't want to bring that. I didn't want to bring that up because I feel so bad because that's like totally the only reason he's in the NBA. Yeah, even like
Oh my
he.
god.
I listen. I have not watched a lot of Keljin Blevins play at the college level or the NBA level. Because he didn't play a lot at the NBA level. But like it was like the running joke. Like that's like the whole thing is like and it's sad because I mean good for him for getting in the NBA, but like holy crap.
Yeah, his career stats, he averaged 2.2 points per game. He actually started a single game in 2021 for the Portland Trailblazers. Yeah.
Well,
I don't
unfortunate.
know
And
why
then
my
there's
thing
another
says 2019, because that's not like trail. I don't know, but that's my
just gonna
website. I trust my website for the most part, but that's right. Okay, another
okay. And then
2019
the
guy,
another
or you can
2019
just
guy.
guess NBA players. Big guy. It's up to you.
Um, these guys had to play in the league. Okay. Um,
Oldest is '07, just so you know.
wait, so oldest of 7. Okay, that's not bad. Um, did Hall play or was he just a G League
Tyler Hall did
something?
apparently play in the NBA.
Good for him.
Montana
Okay.
State Bobcat. You're going down the list perfectly, actually, with
This
no
was great.
stragglers.
I couldn't remember if Hall, I've only ever seen Hall do like the summer league stuff. So good for him. I didn't realize he like some NBA mints.
Let's see what he's up to. Basketball.
Uh, real estate maybe.
Good lord. Yeah, Dallas Mavericks guard. He played for Dallas. He got in 1 game against. He played 2 minutes in his NBA career, according to ESPN.
He deserved better than that. That's my take.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. We are now in the 2017 range, which means if I were you, I just maybe name some guys you know that have played in the league in the 2000s. Because I am fairly
Okay,
certain the next one's the hardest one to get because I've never heard of this guy.
great. Well, 2017 is a good year for me because for people who don't know, I'm a Celtics fan. That's the year we drafted Jason Tatum, so
Okay.
pretty
This
good.
guy was
Not
apparently a Brooklyn net. So
this guy was a Brooklyn net.
we're not
Okay,
getting this deep yet. We're not getting this deep. Guess there's some guys you know on this list. There's at least 2 guys that are like way too easy on this list.
well, I know I okay, so I know Damian Lillard. I'm just gonna name Damian Lillard right now
Yeah,
because
put
I feel
Damian
like
Lillard
you
on the
are
list.
probably put Damian Lillard and then
He was
another guy who's really
2012,
easy.
I believe. Yeah.
2012, yes. He was 2012. I know that much. He was
Okay.
fifth pick, sixth pick in 2012? Sixth
Yeah.
pick in 2012. Uh, who's the other easy guy? Let me think.
Really, these guys the
Uh,
only Montana guy on this list. UM guy.
oh, Will Cherry?
Yeah, Will Cherry.
Go. Love
Will
Will Cherry.
Cherry had
That's
a cup of tea in the NBA. He
for the Warriors?
no, remember he was on the
No.
Cavs with LeBron.
Oh, the Cavs, right. I know he touched the Warriors, not maybe the roster,
Yeah.
but like he played maybe
Yeah,
for their
Will.
G League,
Well,
for the Summer League
because
team.
he was in the G League and he was really good and he was like a G League free
Yeah.
agent and the Cavs got him. And
Right,
he
right,
played
right.
in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This kind of seems like 10-day contract, maybe 10-day contract territory. Played in 8
That's
games. He did.
hey, that's pretty good.
He did. Yeah, he did score. He scored 5 points against the Magic, in a blowout victory. Couple. Yeah. So,
He-
Will Cherry, a Montana Grizzly from Oakland, California, is on our list of 11, last 11 guys to Big Sky guys to play in the league, according to this random website I used. Okay,
I
so we
love
have.
the
You don't have a single
yeah.
strike. You haven't said a wrong guy. We have 3 guesses left. These are
Three get
probably the 3 hardest, or 3
and you said
players to pick left.
oldest guy is 07?
Yeah, so we'll start with him. He's okay, he's an '07 guard. He's 6'5", 205. He played for Detroit and Indiana, I guess, 2 teams, and he's from Eastern Washington.
Wait, is Rodney Stuckey that
Yep,
old?
Rodney Stuckey.
Okay.
Damn, Max is
Okay.
nailed.
I
Max is
they
not playing around today.
dude, I know dude, Rodney Stuckey, I actually have a kind of like a vivid memory of like
He was a
looking
dog a couple years
he was
ago. He played a
he was
lot.
decent. I have like a decent memory of when I was kind of like getting really into mid-major basketball and like I was learning about one, not just like more about Montana, but also like all of the schools in the conference. Um, I had a lot of pride for like Rodney Stuckey as I'm like, oh my gosh, this is is that
Sorry to interrupt, but the boy is
look
asleep. Look at him.
oh sweet boy.
Sweet
Look at him.
baby.
Oh my goodness. Hey buddy.
Anyway, yeah, Rodney Stuckey played
He's so cute.
10 years in the league.
He's gotta be one of
7 of
them.
them were on the Pistons. Yeah, on this list,
Yeah.
he's the most, except for Dame, obviously, the most
Yeah.
successful. Including, like, he had a year, the '09 and the 2009 2010 Pistons, he averaged 16 points per game.
He might be. He's got to be a top 10 greatest Big Sky Conference
He was
player
the
to play in the NBA.
'07 round 1 pick 15. Forget about that.
So yeah, no, that's a great yeah. Rodney Stuckey, I have a great memory of him like early on in like my basketball watching career too, like just because he was a little bit older when I was starting to watch basketball, but um at least for like an NBA player, but no, good for him. Yeah, I didn't realize. I kind of forgot he's that old. Jeez,
He only played 2 years at Eastern. I don't know if he
too good.
transferred. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think he I think he was an Eagle for those 2 years. I don't think he transferred out. I think he just went to the draft.
We got two
Um,
guys. We got 2 guys left. You ready for this one?
these are the two hardest guys you would say.
Yeah. Okay, this guy
Um,
played for Weber. Six
okay.
nine center.
Oh, Joel Bolomboy.
Oh my gosh, Max nails.
Dude, I saw the only reason I remember that is because we were looking at a list the other day for like Big Sky guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get this last guy,
What
but
do you
Joel
mean?
Bolomboy, I
He's gonna
know
be
he's a
a
Weaver.
Ukrainian Russian basketball player. Pick a side, buddy.
We can't get into politics like
Oh, sorry.
last podcast.
Oh, wait.
We got into South African mine trade last.
I'm not,
We don't even
I'm
we
not
don't
getting
even
into
know
it.
if that kid's dad is a South African like blood diamond
We're
trader. We may have
getting
just
into
been
that one.
slandering him the
Okay.
whole
Joel
time.
Joel Palomboy only played 2 years. Oh, he was born in Russia. Gotcha.
Jesus. Okay.
He was a round 2 pick 52 to the Utah Jazz, where he played 12 games. And he played 6 games for the Bucks the next year, and that was it. and it looks like
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe he's playing overseas now. Yeah,
Very good for him.
he
He's still
plays he
playing.
plays in the Euro League, I think.
Oh, nice.
In or I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, he plays in Serbia.
Hey, there you go.
Are you ready for the last one? You might actually know this guy. Like I just I've never heard of this guy. This guy was a 6'8" forward for Eastern Washington in 2017.
Six
He,
eight. Okay,
and
I
he
this I
played for
might
the
actually get
Brooklyn Nets.
6'8" forward who played for Eastern Washington, who played for the Brooklyn Nets. Okay,
Oh,
I have all my strikes, so I can make some guesses here. I'm trying to think. So how long did he play for them for? Like, what's like the
Eastern
timeline?
or the
No,
Nets.
not I mean, sure, like Eastern and then for the Nets.
He
Like,
was
when did he play for
undrafted
Eastern?
in 2017. He played with the Nets during the summer league. He signed a two-way contract. He split time with the Long Island Nets. He made his NBA debut on October 29, 2017, playing 4 minutes and recording 2 rebounds in a loss to the Denver Nuggets. And on January 15th, he was waived. 2018 by the Nets. In 5 games, he averaged point 0.8 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 6 minutes per game. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then he went to Germany. And then he went to, this isn't going to help you at all. Oh, he played with Dallas in the summer league, and then he went and played in South Australia. And
See, this is
then
gonna be
and
tough
then he went to
because
Spain,
yeah.
and then he went to Greece, and then he went to
Okay.
Spain again. He liked it in Spain. And then he went to Montenegro, and then he went
Hey,
to
there's some good basketball in
then he went back to
Montenegro.
Spain. And then he went he stayed and then he went to Puerto Rico, a little closer to
Yeah, shit.
home. And then he went to the Shiga Lakes, which is a team in Japan. And then he went back to Australia. And then he went to Spain again. He says, I like Spain. And guess where he currently is? Lithuania. So, cool. And he's a citizen of North
Just
Macedonia. In 2020,
wait. This is a
he became a citizen so he could play for
oh
their national team.
what?
Anyway,
This guy is a national team
he's from
member.
California
Oh my!
though.
Is he white? Okay. It doesn't really matter, but like that is the North Macedonia thing is
If it
crazy.
helps, when I saw the phone, he might have transferred from Montana to Eastern.
No way.
He played at Lewis Clark State, and he averaged 1 point per game as a freshman.
What?
So keep thinking. Let me know if any names ring in your head.
I don't have a single name for this. You said I was like, oh,
This
maybe I
guy's an
can get
enigma,
dude.
bro.
He played for the Nets in like the worst time to ever play for the Nets. He played for the Nets like when they had zero draft picks, when they were rolling out like Theo Pinson was starting, and I love Theo Pinson, man. But when Theo Pinson's like starting for you guys,
Stop it.
kind of started, like,
Oh
dude,
no.
those were some terrible teams. Like I would like that. Oh yeah, the Jason Tatum pick. That was a former first overall pick, and guess what? That's been the Nets pick. So
Bro.
that was a terrible year. That was a terrible, terrible time to be a Nets fan. Terrible time to watch. I don't remember how many Nets basketball games I watched when I was a freshman in high school. But I can tell you what, it was not when it was the only time when I wasn't when I was watching them was when they were playing the Celtics. And even then, God knows there are probably better games on a Saturday afternoon or at night. But I don't even think I have a good guess for this. Like this guy is not a real player. Like
Well,
how did he get to the
I'm reading his life
NBA?
story on CBS Sports. Crazy life story. His dad was deeply suicidal, I guess, and then he finally died at one point. Like really hard childhood. Um, but he didn't
Horrible.
spiral.
What?
He studied, according to this article.
Mhm.
Um, he'd gone. He went to a really small high school in California. Um, and he got a scholarship offer to Montana because Wayne Tinkle saw him play in a tournament.
Mhm.
Um, so he went to UM, right?
Sure.
And he's an athletic kid, right? Um, so yeah. But then he transferred. But he got offered to Montana, but he transferred to Lewis. He went to Lewis Clark State instead. Oh no,
Okay.
he nearly went to Lewis
What?
Clark State, but then he went to Missoula in 2012. And that's when they had Will
2012?
Cherry, right? All time,
Yeah, I was gonna.
yeah, Kareem Jamar, but he hated basketball. This guy, right? He was in psychological hell, right? Um, you know,
I mean, I'm the same way. I live in
he
Missoula
didn't play
too.
much his fresh. He didn't play much his freshman year. Um, He was Montana's leading scorer with 5 points when they lost 81 to 34 to Syracuse in 2013. When it was
Ah, what?
at that point it was
Oh,
12 years and counting. Um,
I've looked at old rosters, but like, I don't even think I have a good guess for this. Like,
so guess what?
I'm.
He ran track in high school. So guess what? Everyone, I'm about to pull up a photo for you on the stream. Okay, I'll give his name. His name is Jake Wiley. You ever heard of him?
I feel like that's a familiar name. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look.
So
I'm gonna
he
look him up
joined the track
on
team
my
at
phone.
Montana because he hated basketball and he competed. Uh, don't know how good he did. It's cool that he did track and basketball though. He really went through it.
Jake Wiley. Okay. Yeah, I have no. I
Yeah.
have.
So anyway, I'm reading this really long form story on CBS. You should give it a read. I'll drop it in the thing once you're done, Max. Sorry, yes, listeners. But yeah, super
Yeah.
cool story from the sounds of it. And he ended up
Yeah.
on Eastern's roster, and then he played in the NBA. So good for him, and he still plays basketball. So that's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super
Yeah,
cool
good for
story.
Jake
Made me
Wiley.
another guy. The one guy on the list that you'd never heard of. Everyone else on the list is pretty good guessing available. So yeah, I think that's all we got for the podcast this week, right, Max?
Yeah, that's all I've got.
All right. Well, some fun games coming up. Uh, you guys heard our picks. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in if you're still here. Take care.